Stick around with me and we'll spice up that tired old blues rhythm. What's up, everybody out there in YouTube land? Welcome to Overdrive Guitar Channel. I'm John. Thank you so much for joining me. In today's video, for the love of God, we're going to get you to stop playing blues rhythms like this. I'm kidding, of course. What we're not going to do in today's video is shame people who play blues rhythms like that, or that's just where they're at in their guitar journey, right? Let's face it, all of us started out with that rhythm, right? If we've played blues guitar, we started out with that rhythm, or rock guitar, right? Old style rock guitar for that matter. That's kind of the rhythm we came up on, right? And also, it's a super valuable tool, I think, when you're learning to interject lead lines in your rhythm and make sure you keep your timing correct. That's kind of the rhythm to use, in my opinion. There's nothing wrong with it, but it does get kind of played out. Some people call it like that sports bar blues thing. I'm getting way off track. Back to today's video. What we are going to be doing in today's video is looking at an alternate rhythm, right? While there's nothing wrong with playing rhythm like I just demonstrated, right? That sports bar rhythm, just kind of pedaling back and forth. It can be, first of all, uninspiring for the person playing over it. Second of all, it can be uninspiring for you to play a 5-minute song where you're just repeating that same kind of rhythm, right? So we're going to look at a way to kind of spice up that 12-bar blues. Of course, you can take pieces of this and use it in blues that aren't 12-bar, right? But this particular example is going to be a 12-bar example. The example we're going to be looking at is the rhythm that I was playing over in that little ditty in the beginning. You were probably listening to the lead just like anybody would while it was playing before. So here it is again with just me playing the rhythm. As you can hear, it's just a little more interesting, right, than just that kind of pedaling back and forth type of rhythm. It's more inspiring for that guy to play over that soloing, and next time he goes up and plays, he's probably going to ask you to play with him if you play a rhythm like this. Couple things before we really get into the thick of the lesson. The first thing is, if you enjoy lessons, gear demos, especially budget gear demos, recording tips, things like that. Please hit like and subscribe below to support the channel. If you want to be notified when I release new content, hit that bell icon. The other thing to be taken care of is the gear, right? Gonna be using this classic Vibe 60 Strat. It's got a custom set of pickups in it. I won't go through that, but all of my gear is always listed in great detail in the description below. If you want to know all the ins and outs, all the particulars, check out the description below for the gear. But basically it's this classic Vibe as usual through a Boss Katana 100 Mark II. Any pedals that I use as usual I will flash up in the corner of the screen as I am using them. Like I said, if you want more detail, check out the description below. I always make sure to get everything in there. Alright, one more thing before I zoom in, and it's kind of a perspective thing, right? I don't hear this talked about a lot with rhythms, but this concept that I see applied a lot to lead guitar is to kind of learn all of these songs, right? Excuse me, or all of these parts, and you know, after your stage of imitation, then you kind of start pulling what you like, putting it together as your own. Now, this approach is really common and talked about for lead, but I don't hear it talked about a lot for rhythm, and I feel like it should be talked about, especially in blues rhythm, right, where we're playing kind of this 12-bar, somewhat repetitive kind of sequence over and over and over again. We really want to make it interesting for ourselves, for the audience, for the other musicians, etc. So just a little thing to keep in mind, right? It's all about perspective. You don't have to stick to what I'm saying to do, right? You don't have to stick to this note for note. I'm just some guy on the internet, right? I'm just throwing some ideas out there. Anything that sounds good to you, take it. Anything that doesn't, leave it, right? Alright, let's zoom in and take a closer look. Grab your guitar, tune it up. Let's get to it. Alright, now the first thing to look at is our actual rhythm, right? This is a shuffle, so we don't want a straight ahead feel, right? We don't want this, right? We want. So if that's new to you, that shuffle feel, maybe just kind of pause the video, right? Kind of get your wrist free and swinging, right? Sometimes it helps people to kind of do a little bit of a circular motion when they're kind of learning the shuffle groove, right? So if you're not comfortable, just pause the video and kind of get that rhythm under your hands and in your ears. But let's push on. So we're going to start, since we're in the key of E, with our E chord. We're going to use an open E chord, right? A kind of cowboy chord, open position chord, and we're going to hammer on with our index finger. Our index finger in this case is the third. The third is a powerful note in all kinds of music, including the blues. It kind of decides, usually in general, I'm boiling it down here, decides whether the chord is going to be minor or major, right? And the reason this is going to grab our ear so much and sounds so familiar is because most of the blues hammer-ons or trills that we hear are trills hammering on, or hammer-ons, from our minor to our major third, which is exactly what we're doing here. You don't need to know the theory behind that to get this rhythm down, but just a little info. Alright, so using our shuffle rhythm, we're going to first hit our E chord and then do a kind of up chuck, right? So it's going to sound something like this. Right? Okay? We're going to go right to our A chord after that. Just a plain old A chord. then we're going to do our same kind of chuck to keep our shuffle rhythm going. Okay, now we're going to go up to this little figure right here. Okay, this is our ring finger on the 4th fret of our G string and our middle finger on the 3rd fret of our B string. And this is just a little piece of our pentatonic scale, right? It's the easiest way to look at this. It's kind of a piece of this little box, right? We're just going to use that little piece. You know you've seen that before if you've played any blues or rock at all. So, what we've got so far is this. And again, we want to keep our shuffle going as much as we can. If we can hit that up chuck at the appropriate time, we always grab it, okay? Now back to our A chord. Okay, and right back to our E. So the rest of the phrase is basically just repeating, right? So we start with hammering on our index finger and playing our E, our up chuck, our A chord. Okay, now we do another chuck up to our small piece of our pentatonic. Okay, back to our A chord. And we finish the phrase with an E again, repeating the first part of the phrase, just leaving that last A off to complete the phrase. So that whole phrase slowly. Right? We go through it twice just like that to take up our bars to make our 12-bar formula, right? So up to speed. And I like to, the second time I come around to that E chord, I like that hammer on to be a trill, but it's just accents. Any flavors like that, it's totally up to you. Go for it. I encourage it, like I said earlier. So once again, let's just go over this part one more time. Okay? Now don't forget, YouTube, you can pause and rewind as many times as you need to, but more importantly, if you're really having trouble grasping, you click on the settings, there's actually a speed setting. You can slow down the video without changing the pitch. If anything is too fast in any of my lessons, that can be a helpful tool. Just keep that in mind. Alright, so pressing on, we've completed kind of our first E chord portion of our 1-4-5 blues, right? So now our 4 chord is our A, okay? So what we're going to do, this is going to be based on just our plain old A bar chord, right? A major bar chord at our 5th fret. But what we're going to do is we're just going to grab a little piece of it, right? You'll find oftentimes it's kind of redundant to be playing these big old chords, playing the low part of these voicings when you have a bass guitar, maybe a keyboard, things like that. So we grab the top of our chord in any case. So what we're actually going to do is just like our E chord, when we hit our A chord, we're going to hammer on from our minor to our major third. So we're going to make a bar on our skinniest 3 strings on the 5th fret, okay? And our minor third is our thickest string that we're fretting right now. So we're going to hammer on right there, right? Should sound very familiar, very bluesy. You probably heard plenty of blues stuff that sounded something like this. Right? It's just our A major, right? So, anyways, we're grabbing this little piece of our A major chord, hammering on from the minor to the major third. Okay, right after we hammer on, we're going to grab the 7th fret of our D string, okay? And then right after that, we're going to flatten out our ring finger. Okay, we're doing the same exact thing we did on the E chord, just starting from the A chord. That's all we're doing here. So we grab a little piece of the pentatonic, just like we did with the E, right? Okay, hammering on, 7th fret of the D, flattened ring finger, piece of the pentatonic, flattened ring finger, hammer on again, 7th fret of the D, flattened ring finger again. We're just repeating, right? Just like we did on the first part. Okay? Hopefully you guys are picking up on the pattern. If you're not picking it up, like I said, the best thing to do is to just stop the video and rewind rather than have me try to explain it in a different way over and over again. And please, I'm not trying to be rude when I tell you if you don't get it to stop the tape and rewind. I'm just giving you guys a helpful pointer. Somebody took offense at one point when I told them that they could stop the tape and rewind as many times as they needed. Not my intent, obviously. Alright, so I'm going to do a slow playthrough now of our A chord figure. So here we go. And once again, anytime when our hand is free enough to get that chuck, we're going to do it to kind of keep that shuffle feel going, okay? Just like the E chord, the second time I come around to the A, I like to make this hammer on a trill. Okay? So. And that completes our A chord portion, right? So let's play it up to speed now. Okay, and like I said, if you need to kind of stop and rewind, get that under your fingers as much as you have to. Go ahead, feel free. This video will be here, right? And I have some really good news for you now, because our 5 chord, just like many other progressions in the blues, we're going to do the same exact thing we did on our 4. Now, we'll take a quick look at it though, because when we come to our 5, it's going to be half the length of any of the bars we've been playing so far, right? If you don't follow me, that's okay. I'm talking about the structure of the 12 bars, right? How many bars you play each chord for. If you're not familiar with that, it's something you really want to brush up on. So, getting to our B chord figure, like I said, it's going to look just like our A chord figure, but up a whole step, Okay, so we come to our 7th fret and make our bar, do our hammer on. Then we slide down to our A, right? Because we're following our 1, 4, 5, 12 bar kind of formula. So starting from the B, we go through the B for 1 bar, slide down to the A for a bar, back to our E, okay. Let's recap the whole thing so far. We're almost done. Let's do a recap. So far we've gone through our E, our A, back to our E, to our B, down to our A, back to our E. And our turnaround, we're just gonna go up from our 4 to our flat 5 to our 5, which you will find on the A string, open 1, 2. Okay. And we're gonna end with a B7 chord, which is gonna have our middle finger on the 2nd fret of the A string, our index finger on the 1st fret of the D string, our ring finger, on the 2nd fret of the G string, our pinky on the 2nd fret of the high E. Okay, so playing our 3 single notes, leaving our middle finger down and forming the rest of the chord. Okay, so let's break it down slowly once again, then at full speed. Okay, now let's try to play it up to speed. Okay guys, I hope that lesson was a useful one for you guys. I know when I was a beginner getting into the blues, I loved it when I got that kind of really simple pedal kind of blues rhythm going, like everybody always plays, right? Some people call it the sports bar blues rhythm, right? But man, when I kind of got that under my fingers, I could not wait to get away from it and get some kind of more sophisticated sounds under my fingers. And also the people that I'm playing with, people that are playing with you, playing over your rhythm playing, they want to be inspired. They're not going to complain, of course, if you're playing that sports bar rhythm, because they love to solo like anybody else. But if you can kind of get some of this under your fingers, learn to draw from it when you feel it, kind of learn to interact with those other musicians, that's what this whole thing is really all about, right? Using music kind of as a language, as a social tool, interacting, playing music, having that musical conversation. But I digress. If you enjoyed the lesson, if you like gear reviews, if you don't want to miss my upcoming content, hit like and subscribe, hit that bell icon. If you're still here, thank you so much for watching the whole video. That actually goes a long way to support the channel, just like liking and subscribing. Thanks everybody, lots of videos coming up, really excited. If you like budget gear, make sure to click that bell. Thanks guys, and keep rocking.